Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final game of the evening. I even took some time in the break to go and learn Peshenek. It's named after a Russian machine gun. So rip the old name of Peng. He is now Peshenek. My name is Destitute, joined once again by Crumsy for this third and final game. Crumsy, it's going to be very, very hard to succeed what we just saw take place in Orango. The slaughter of two four-man squads by Peshenek was something to behold.
The expectations are high, and I think that's really to say the least. I think players are going to have to step up their game if they want to perform as good as Peng did today. And I think we've already seen a player pulling this technique of I'm leaving my whole team, I'm going to loot by myself. At the top left of the map, I believe that's Snips up there.
He's like, see you later, guys. I'm staying put. Now, imagine if the circle goes completely far south. That will not be a happy, fun time to be him. But you're right, he is going to try and go off on his own. I think it Snips the Wookiee, isn't it, again? Yeah, it is. He was the guy who went to school in the last round entirely by himself while the rest of the team went elsewhere. You can see them about 40% of the way along the line at the minute as well. They're heading south, accompanied by two other squads, it looks like. Need to be wary of that one. But it's another pretty not so much central drop, but it is pretty much down the upper half of the map, so you can still get a nice spread across where we'll see teams drop into. A few already jettisoning straight towards Los Leones there down towards the south. But in fact, there's a couple that have dropped even further short than that as well. I'm looking off towards Impala where there's about 4 or 5 squads all headed towards the same place.
I think this is something that we see as slightly different between more these community leagues and the pro scene, where a lot of professional teams will actually sort of, since they're used to playing with each other, sorry, they will have these areas, these spawns that they will claim, and they tend not to be contested because every team will have their own spawn. FaZe will be in Milta and Milta Power and things like that. And so I think with these games, you don't really know who is dropping where, and you can't really know what to expect. And so that's why we see a lot more of these early fights in these games than we do in the professional scene.
Well, Marky Mark might find himself in a rough spot here unless he can find a gun inside one of the. I don't think he can right now. There is actually a member of the team running around there. Got a gun. Going to take a few shots at him. He's already gone down there to the P19 from Yuki. So a bit unlucky there, I've got to say, Mark. Unlucky, my friend. You are out of this round and the final round of the evening. Yuki taking away that first kill. It's always that kind of scrap, like you say, that when you first drop, if you don't have like a claim spot to land into, you'll tend to find it can get quite explosive.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he might actually be the second player to go down here. I think earlier on in the game we saw somebody get shot down with a car 98. Now I'm not really sure where that happened on the map and who it was, but I saw it for the glimpse of my eye, and perhaps it was a player parachuting down, and he got shot down with a car 98 as he was still holding his parachute.
There seems to be a few were kind of late landing in, and by the time even everyone, so a couple have already been shot dead. So it was unlucky. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this strat as well. You can see the right hand side there. I've got a tiny little island there, team two entirely by themselves, or one member entirely by himself. I've landed there a few times. It's not the easiest to get across and get into the zone if you find yourself straggled out in the blue as well. What's the reason for wanting to land there? I understand entirely that it's an area you're tending to be alone.
These teams consider here is, first of all, it's not a very contested drop, so it's quite calm, and they have sort of their time to loot. It also has direct access
Mhm.
to this traversal kind of road that you see all around Miramar that kind of allows team to circle all the way from the north side to the south side and from the west to the east. And so I think landing on these islands, they have time to loot and see where the first circle comes in, and then it kind of allows them to decide whether they want to evacuate north side onto the traversal road or south side onto around Puerto Paraiso. And so it simply gives them time to think and time to consider without being contested by other teams. However, the loot is kind of small, kind of slim, so I think that it is a risk to take. Now, interestingly enough, I've actually played a game that finished on one of those two islands, which I did not know was possible.
Well, there we go. We'll see how long it takes him to get across and what fantastical loot, no doubt, he can find over there whilst he's all by himself. Elsewhere on the map, though, it's pretty much the same as what we saw in the first game of the evening, where teams start a little bit scattered out, not really going for any of those early fights, just making sure they've got some loot at least to take into their first few firefights. In Team 3, they've already lost one of their members here, but Lieutenant Kazansky all on his own here. One in Impala as well. A couple of members kind of scattered out who might find themselves getting closed in on here because Team 17 have got one member off to the south and 3 members coming in from the west. Want to be wary they don't find themselves getting picked off.
And we can see Team 12 here again having their members all split throughout the map. I think this might be a strategy that they decided to take on and decide whether, okay, Clearly, they want to have all options open, which is also something that I've been reflecting on since the last game where we saw them split over the whole map. It kind of allows one player to take hold of a compound or a town and kind of prepare it for his team's arrival into the zone, because having one player at each corner of the map kind of secures at least one of them to be in the zone. And so one of them will push into a compound, which will allow the rest of his team to then join him, and then they're as strong as a team, but within the well placed.
Absolutely. Well, you can see Team 4 are now the team that are taking control of the central area in Picado. Not quite sure which team. I think Atomic, yeah, they're still Team 6 as well. They're off towards Monte Nuevo to the left, just outside of the zone. And that played out a lot better. Well, I say it played out better for them last time. They lost pretty much all their members when they started off a military island. But that one final member in Peschaneg was the secret answer they needed to win a round, apparently, with that clutch, crazy 1 versus 9 right at the very end. But they're going to play things a bit safer now. No one to scrap with out there just yet. Most of the teams, it feels like, really have gravitated off towards this east side with 3 or 4 squads out that way. I imagine there's a few more just towards the north outside the circle as well.
It's nice to see Los Leones a bit more contested than in our last Miramar game as well, where I believe it was Team 11 or 17 who were holding the whole of Los Leones and giving them complete freedom to gear up completely. And especially in a game like this where Los Leones is almost in the middle of the zone, it's nice to see it being more contested by Team 7, Team 1, as well as it looks like one member from Team 2, to kind of more spread out the loot that is available there and also create slightly more interesting early game team fights.
And looking up towards Impala here as well, one of the members from, I believe it's Team 7, is on a motorcycle heading towards Team 17. All 4 members there, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him getting caught out if he's not too wary of those that might be around him. You can see him now just heading towards them, like just towards the east of your screens right now. I think they've heard him. They know roughly where he is, but not 100% sure. If he stops off here, at least he should be safe because of that high ground difference between the two areas where they are. In fact, he's just hard bailing on that and just following the coastline straight south. Does not want to get involved with that team at all.
Now, Vanilla here just had the option to pick up a VSS. What's your opinion on the VSS, Des? Because I know that it's such a deadly weapon, and I love when I have it in my hands, but I know a lot of players just despise it for its kind of low damage. What's your opinion on the VSS?
I think the range and the damage is part of the reason that frustrates a lot of people, especially on a big open map like Miramar. If you're fighting in city, maybe not so much like Los Leones one, where the buildings are a bit more spaced out, where there's more longer sight lines to play around. It's that kind of medium range where it can really, really shine, especially when you're trying to keep yourself slightly more concealed away, I suppose. If you're trying to play at the long range, though, and you're having that alongside something like an assault rifle, then maybe it's not the best pick in that case. It depends how you treat the VSS and what you view it as in your and as one of your 2 weapons.
See, that's really interesting. I think one of the main advantages of the VSS, which I love, is the fact that it comes with a silencer and with a
Yes,
scope. And so when
exactly.
I play with my squad, usually one of our players, if we find a VSS, will hold it as if he finds a scope or anything else. It allows more of our players to have these silencers, these scopes, to be able to engage on these long, kind of more sneaky team fights available, which is why we usually like to have at least one in our squad.
I don't blame anyone who has one as well. Like I say, I think for the mid-range engagements, it's fine. It's just that bullet drop-off makes it not so much impossible, but very difficult to use compared to other weapons in the game if you're trying to go for those longer range engagements. But then I guess it kind of then comes into question of what do you define as short, medium, and long range, right? You could be there all day debating the exact specifics of what we mean by that. It's never a bad thing to have, just if you're trying to go for a more sniper-based weapon, which I think is what a lot of people viewed it as when it first came out. It's not always the best choice.
I think it also depends whose hands it's in,
Uh,
sorry.
as long
You
as it's
know,
not in mine, it's absolutely fine.
you just have these players that are, and I know I struggle with it a lot, is just you have players who are so good at calculating how much they need to compensate for the bullet drop. And so a weapon like the VSS, which has a lot of bullet drop, which is one of its big weaknesses, if they're able to control the spray over 100 to 500-meter range and just
Oh
simply
dear,
spray it down, it's, oh,
that
now
happened.
that happened. I just saw it in the corner of my screen and it just cut me straight in my speech because either someone got PUBG'd or there was a miscommunication somewhere.
I'm going to say heavy miscommunication there, Chief. Maybe trying to break to pick him up, and then just thought, nah, I'll run him over instead. It's one of those days where actually I don't really feel like giving you a lift. I'll just flatten you down, loot your body, and leave.
It's I know for a fact it's happened to me many times when I've tried to get into the car and it's still slightly moving and you slightly impact the side and it just knocks you down. And it looks like they did get him up though. I believe it was a team 8 member, unless I'm mistaken, Des.
I think it was teammate or team 10. It's the colors that always confuse. They're always so
Mm.
confusing. It was off towards the north anyway. But let's start seeing as team 7 and team 1 are finally coming together now. It's no longer a long range affair. The teams are actually in very close proximity to one another. Omni Toaster, somewhat leading the charge for his team here down in towards the central area where the rest of Team One are sort of gathered together. He's finding guns along his way, but as soon as one on the spot, Team Seven out, they're suddenly in a very difficult situation. Let's not forget, this is Niels' team, Keel Legends, who are currently sat at the top of the leaderboard. They're going to take some shots at UP, but no one goes down. Now that means they're aware of where Team Seven are, and Team One can begin to respond accordingly.
I'm not sure if that was the best decision from
No,
Omni Toaster to just shoot at him like that because he doesn't have any information on where the whereabouts of his other teammates. And so I think he had the information that there are people there in close proximity. So I think he should hold his trigger and just wait for them to be able to have information and then take a surprise fight. Because now the only problem is a team one also know that there is a team that is about to engage them, so they can now take defensive positions, group up, and now team seven lost that kind of surprise advantage that they had just a second ago.
one of the tougher ones for sure. I mean, by the looks of it, for most of Team One, it's like a case of, yeah, let's just get right out of here. Needs to be careful, though, because off to the side there, Niels is lurking as well. I don't think you can see him because of the high ground right now. But all it takes is a small spot, and you can see they're just over the cusp of that hill. Can't quite get the shots in. Looks like Team One are going to say, you know what? We don't want this fight right now. We just want to get the hell out of here, get some more loot on our side, and then we'll worry more about this in the late game.
I know a lot of people who play PUBG always have this mentality of I always want to fight. I always like pushing into team fights. But there comes a point where you have to kind of realize whether pushing into that team fight is the right decision or not. Because pushing into a team fight, just have a couple extra, you know, pieces of healing to then lose three out of your four members is not a worthy risk in my opinion. So sometimes get in your vehicles, push to the zone, and then take an angle where you can wait for this team that you were about to engage to come into you, where you're then at an advantageous position, and you can then clean out the members much easier.
Absolutely. Well, a couple of shots being exchanged, but it feels between these two teams now. It's almost like Team One just deliberately want to avoid the fight right now. And although they've got some scopes on here, 6 times on this gun for Secret Lucan, maybe he's the only one who's actually got a weapon that they feel comfortable using in a long range fight. Currently got 1 kill to their name in this game as well. UP taping away that 1 kill, gives them those 16 points. And again, points count for everything in the long run when it matters. And they're just going to piece out of here as well. 2 members left remaining. In fact, 3 members left remaining. One has chosen to drove away. This is where they've got to be careful, though, because Niels is also lurking. If they find themselves getting eliminated here, you're leaving 1 man remaining. And let's not forget, not everyone's a Peshineg either. You can't all go 1 versus 10, guys. I'm sorry.
I think we're about to see another surprise situation where now Team 7 have this opportunity to play the surprise angle again. And Niels is going to go straight for the team fight, but in this situation, he's guaranteed the knock. He's guaranteed the kill, and so he decides to go for it. But now they have to regroup and redecide how they're going to push in without knowing the location of the other 3 members from Team 1.
I think it's very silly to be standing in an open position in the barn like that, facing towards the team that you know are pushing towards you. Like, that does you no favors. And Secret Luca's getting grenade as well. That's a great grenade as well. Just about goes behind him, but does knock him down to about 25 HP. Now, they want to be very careful they don't get themselves caught out here and sprayed down on the way in, but Lucan is going to heal up. Another grenade goes in behind him here. Might have down him as well. No, it doesn't, because of the line of sight of the pillar that he was stuck behind. Esports ready, by the way. But Neil's going to come around, bring down Secret Lucan, and that's 2 members from Team 1 brought down. One has drove away. One is retreating off towards the southwest. Team 7 win this engage hard.
Now, I'm not sure if Yuki made the decision not to push over to help his teammates, knowing that it was kind of a lost cause for his teammate, lost in the open of that building. And maybe he just said, okay, I'm going to play for position here, run, try find my teammate later on. But I think he could have still pushed up with Zakari to try and maybe help his teammate at least kill a couple of them and sustain these points.
Elsewhere around the map, we've had a lot of focus on those two teams so far. There's about 3, 4 squads hanging off towards the south side. You've got a bunch already kind of in the zone here as well. Quite scattered around, admittedly. No real solid teams of 4, except for maybe teammate here pushing in together. Everyone else looks to be 1 or 2 members just kind of clawing around at the side. Other members are elsewhere or dead. Makes for a very fragmented kind of map. And you can see now the shots coming in from Team 25. Connor Soot, sorry, who we saw in last game, taking some pot shots down from the high ground.
So we were saying in the first Miramar game, these high positions that you have in Miramar that aren't necessarily a thing in Erangel, where you can be on the top of a hill Now, the only issue with this is that if they ever need to escape in a position where a team would come to their right, they're very, very limited in terms of escape paths. And so it kind of blocks them. And if they aren't able to capitalize on this position that they spend time taking climbing up on top of the hill, it's kind of a worthless risk to take. And sometimes it's almost better just to go place yourself in the middle of the zone and wait for people to just come to you.
Absolutely. You can see a bunch all slowly starting to make their way up from the south side of the circle as well, up towards the mainland areas. Even Shazmaster just lurking off to the side here. One of the NUEL's own, I believe, as well, lurking around with the rest of his team. 8 of them, in fact, there. Or 8 of them? Team 8, sorry. 4 of them all around together, I should say. The Glowy Warrior Team 25, who we spoke about earlier on, had that high ground. They're now making their slow and steady descent down, looking to pick off a couple of members. And I've already spotted one out there. They know where he is. Shots coming through. Non-connecting just yet, but at least now they know that the teammate are lurking down. They've got to worry about that. They've even got Team 1 coming up from the southwest side, though, as well. So potentially a pincer coming through onto Team 25 here. Oh, what a shot from Atomic.
Very nice control of the time zone scope there. Very quick into scoping onto Yuki. And he is going to be able to finish him straight away because Zachary is just too far away to be able to help him. And it's another situation from Team 1 where we see them being too far apart and not able to help each other in these team fights that they come across. So maybe it's something that I need to consider for the future games to maybe play closer to each other to be able to react better to any encounters that they may have.
Wouldn't be a bad shout, but they do have 1 member remaining now. And even Team 14 off to the west-hand side of the circle, they're pretty much isolated except for 1 member of Team 25 lurking below them. I always want to turn around and go, oh, but it's only 1 member. But that's what we saw Peshenek do. I don't know if I can say that anymore and say it with any kind of conviction.
I think it kind of resets our. We've been saying ever since the first game on Miramar today, oh, this player's alone, oh, he's in trouble. And now that we've seen Peng just pull this off in the last game, every time we see a player alone, we kind of hope deep inside of us that he's going to be able to pull the same thing because it's just such great PUBG to watch, and it'd be so nice to see other players be able to pull this kind of clutch situations on PUBG.
Well, let's see what they can do. Team 14 are now firmly in the zone, so they are safe and on their way in. But Team 8 are getting picked off by Team 10. You can see Evolve here as well, getting a few pot shots down onto that final member. Down he will go. They got themselves in a pretty comfortable spot off there towards the southeast, sorry, side of the circle. Nothing really to worry about. There is 1 more squad pushing in. It's Team 17 down there as well. There's even 1 team blasting their way in from the blue zone as well at the minute, who was completely far out to the southeast side, but will get themselves along that road and into the zone. Won't be surprised if they get themselves gatted down on the way in, though, for now. There are a couple of teams lurking in, Team 2 alongside Team 17, all lurking along this kind of borderline into the zone.
Now, one thing to just note on is we just saw Unity take down someone with his SLR and aim to finish him straight away. So there's something to kind of discuss where these teams, they have these points that they're able to get by getting kills. Now, when you knock someone, that doesn't give you the points just yet. That person actually needs to also be taken down by a member of your team, which is why all these teams are so focused on finishing these kills. And there's an interesting encounter that we're about to see here between Team 7 and Team 17.
Epoch trying to nade and vice versa. The issue is being returned onto himself by Mobster. It's always a case of who goes down first, but Epoch saying, I want no more part of this, fam. I want to get myself inside the zone, but for now he's going to med up while his other team members pull back around. I'm going to toast is lurking too here and running straight in towards Mobster. Going to find himself sprayed down. That's him done and out of this round. Mobster was just waiting and ready for him there. Almost a little bit too easy.
I think it's safe to say, don't run into an area where you know there's a team there with your M24 out. It's probably not the safest call. Now, I think even with his rifle in hand, he wouldn't have had an opportunity to take that fight. But, you know, it's one of these situations where you have to think, if I need to react quickly, it's probably safer to have my rifle in hand. And Epoch saying, nope, I'm out. I'm going into the zone. You guys enjoy. You don't have a vehicle. You guys will get into the zone with absolutely no heals.
Yeah, Ukulele from Team 17 was brought down much earlier in the round, but so far, Proven Ears and Mobster are still hanging on tight. Just got to actually get themselves in the zone here without being brought down. They have got to run through fire, so quite literally a trial by fire for these guys to make sure they can stay safe. Team 10 are kind of the watchful guardians here at the edge of the circle. They bring down Get Swifty from Team 2 as Algulator brings down Mobster as well. Both of them being finished off. So Team 17, although there was 2 members left, it looked promising at least for their entry into the circle. That trial by fire clearly caught them, got them burnt.
So we're speaking of the hero of today's games. Peng just hit a shot from extremely far away. You can see that control that he has over these scopes Now he only has a 6-time hand, yet he's able to shoot at such a great distance onto Team 25. And even if they aren't able to finish that kill, it gives them the opportunity to push up and push closer into cover, while Team 25 focus on
Wow.
getting the res off for that teammate.
Got himself 2 more downs as well there, while Crumplefire equally finishes off Lieutenant Kazansky from Squad 3, who we saw earlier on. And Peshanek brings down Keezus too. So those 2 downs that he got are now both 2 confirmed kills for his team. And he's got both of those. Atomical has another one. But things are looking good for these guys. Just hanging around once again on the edge of the circle. Ooh, trading that kill. So Atomical is going to bring down one. You've always got an ally to cover you when you find yourself getting shot at as well. So great play between those guys with those scopes. They're going to try and chase down Team 25 here and try and finish them off.
It'd be really interesting to hear a little bit what the communication between these guys here playing are. I think something that's really, really important in PUBG is coordination between your squad members, because simply seeing somebody and shooting him could actually put you at a disadvantage, where if you communicate beforehand with the rest of your team, it actually puts you in this position where you can coordinate and have more of a chance of completing a knock.
Absolutely. Well, you can already see actually far out west of the side of the circle, there's some fights going on. But actually inside the circle itself, a lot of teams are trading out kills. Squad 6. Some fights going on there between them and Team 1. Trading kills back and forth, at least for now. Needs to be wary, actually, because Team 25 is hanging up here as well. He has such a great opportunity to play ultimate spoiler if he were to crouch up here and look over the edge of this circle. Ledge, even. It's not a circle, it's a ledge.
I think
gets
he
used to saying
dropped
the
a
word
couple
circle.
nades, didn't he?
Needs more.
Needs more. He has one left. I think he's just keeping that just in case. Now, this is a timing situation. I don't think he knows that they are right underneath him. And if he stands up, he has 100% the advantage on these players. And they're even changing weapons. You see Reed right here just changing to an M4, probably equipping it. It's not even reloaded yet, as you can see by the red icon above his name. And so if he just decides to stand up, that's a free kill for him right there. And that's what we might be seeing very, very soon.
Spot one there. I think he even knows he knows where he is. So it's maybe a case of more magical farts getting inside his own head here. But he's going for a grenade to try and see what he can get down there. Throws it out down there. Will he get Yates at the back of that one? No, he will not. No damage being traded back across either. I'm curious to know if they have any idea where that nade even came from.
Now, we were talking earlier about Team 25 in that high position. It looks like Magical Farts is going to have a tough time coming down here, because a fall like this will not keep him alive at the end of it. And so I think he has to find an exit strategy to come down. And I think that road straight through the other team right below him is probably his only exit strategy. So he might actually have to
Topical,
dare
no!
and go for those peaks.
Well, finding one member of Team 25 already. There we go. Bringing down Connor Sutt. I thought he'd be completely left out to dry there when he had the sniper out. But Connor Sutt just a little bit too slow on the uptake there to get the shots in to make it count. So, teammate laying down a lot of fire on that retreating car as it runs away. But they're quite happily sat in the center of the circle right now. One you got to watch out for is Team 4, as they are lurking off towards the side in the push-in. Team 12 brings down one member of Team 2. And in fact, some members are even running completely away from the center of the zone out towards the far side. And you can see Team 25 there. They're just lurking. How he gets, if he lands a shot, it'd be something beautiful. But he's going to tuck away behind the rock there. No shot's going to connect yet. And in fact, Magical Farts gets a kill onto Tech Reed, who was downed earlier on. This time round, actually going down by the looks of it.
As what I was just saying, he's in this position where he just cannot exit. And now the players know that he's there, so he's going to have to just drop down and probably die from the fall. He is going to make it alive, so now he does have a fighting chance against Yates. Even by lying down, he actually has cover, so he might actually just be able to make it out of this alive. He has the 2 players below him. He just has to hope that he knows that the third player is further away.
It's like Christmas. Quite literally like, oh, can you get that final spray down? Yes, he can. Magical Farts cleaning up the rest of Squad 6. And will keep himself alive. And like you said, it was a very risky play jumping off there as well, putting himself down to 26 HP, but still managed to convert things out and bring those 3 kills home.
That jump spray, it's not something you see a lot of in PUBG, is it?
No, not really. For good reason. But it worked. So, hey. And this time around, Peshanek getting killed under 25. Team 25 have been very much so eradicated from this game. You see him down behind the rock, and I think there's only another member left somewhere else as well. Now, the fact that he has just seen that buggy rolling back suggests that someone has got out of that and left it at the top of that hill. It was Niels who got out, so no doubt Team 4 are thinking, right, we've got to push in there, find out who's left, and uncover them before they can cause any nasty surprises for us.
Now, Team 12 have a really nice position. It's a shame that the zone isn't into their advantage, because they have this really nice cliff that they can play off, where they have cover on the west as well as on their east side. And so it's a shame that now they actually have to move out of this into a completely open field, which puts them at a huge disadvantageous position.
See Niels as well getting completely pincered in. Got quite a few members around him here. One incredibly close. Shazmaster could be the hero, bringing him down. I know Shaz will be so happy if he can do it, but no, he can't. He gets brought down and executed brutally by Niels. But now he's got two more members off to his right-hand side. He knows he can't take this fight. He's going to back the hell out of there and get himself to a safer spot. Somewhat those coming up above him here. Niels knows he's keeping his eyes open. Will he get the spray? No, he will not. Someone brings him down, and Niels is done for.
I don't know about you, Des, but that just stresses me out to see a player just running with 10 health when I think he could have just laid down, put a med kit, and he'd be in that next fight with 100 health. And unfortunately, he just chooses to wait a little bit, play for the position, and doesn't make it out alive.
It was unfortunate, but these things happen. I've got to tell Shazmaster a good job in the PUBG Discord chat. If you're not in the PUBG Discord chat, by the way, then you should be in there. Get into our NUEL Discord. We have channels for all the games we speak about. You can see announcements for PUBG. You can chat to the players who have been playing in this. And of course, those who are still playing, it's always nice to say a good GG once the game is concluded.
Now, we saw a tough game, didn't we, from Swansea Storm Red, this first Miramar map, where they didn't really have a good performance. But this game, I think the Penk's performance in the last game, I think hyped them up. And we just see an amazing shot from Atomical across the zone here. He's just destroying these players one by one with his sniper and his scope, bringing them onto 8 kills now as a team, and is just giving them points and points and points. And I think this might help them secure the first position on the leaderboard after these 2 games.
Absolutely. They'll put themselves in a great spot where they're just spread out nicely along this mountain range as well. So you can look at one person or try and find one person, and before you know it, 3 more are shooting at you, and you have no idea where from. So really good kind of entrenched position. Look at all the different areas and bits of high ground they've got to work in and around as well. Whilst everyone else is kind of forced to walk through the open. There's only 11 left alive here. And this is like hunting ducks at the carnival, for God's sake, for Team 4. They're just picking off members wherever they run, dropping the health bars down. Team 12 kind of being forced to run through the open towards them here. What they've got to be wary of is the teams coming up behind them, though. And there we go. One goes down from Stitch the Wookiee. Team 12, I feel so sorry for them right now. This is literally slaughter.
And you just have these 2 good players as well with these scopes and these snipers just taking shots. It's free shots. It's almost very, as you said, very sad to watch because these players have nothing they can do. And we talked about this many times. Get your smokes, pick up your smokes, because that could just clear a pathway for you to run from one point of cover to another, and it can just make the complete difference.
Yeah, the biggest worry for me here, and I think these guys are doing it right, is for Team 4 is they could push down here and try and finish off these straggling members of Team 12, which is what Atomical has gone to do as the one of the more handy gunmen on his team, I suppose you could say. The rest have held the mountains. If they hadn't held those mountains, they would find themselves in an exactly reverse spot they were just in with Team 12, where those that were off to the west who are pushing in, take over the mountains, use that high ground to get the spray down onto the remaining members of Team 4, who by then will be on the low ground. There's the nice spray as well. Gets the one down. This is why they send this guy down there. Gets the one, but there's still 2 more remaining. He wants to get that little chip shot, but he can't quite hit him there. Needs to be wary on the run out there. Needs to be careful for the left as well. Oh, well, he does get dropped down in the end. I'm going to say that was very bold from Atomical, knowing there was more than 1 member remaining. He does have a member coming in support from behind him here. They're going to try and throw a grenade in to bring him down, but I think he's just about managed to escape here. Needs to be wary on this side of the building, though, because I think he's got support coming through now, but needs to be very, very careful.
The key that everybody who asks, how can I get better at PUBG? The one rule that everybody talks about is at any point in time, be at a position where a teammate can revive you. I think that's where Atomical made a small mistake there, peeking out into the open just to confirm that kill, led him to go down. Peng now had to push to support, and then he couldn't quite get the support onto Atomical, so now Atomical's dead, and Peng's in a position where he kind of has to run into a slightly open field. He still has cover from the hill, but now this Team 12 kind of has the advantage over him. So that little mistake kind of snowballs down, and Peng just now decides, okay, retreat. I'm going to go find back the rest of my team and hopefully survive out of this.
And this is where things get a bit tougher because although Atomical, I think, made the right call in going to try and finish off Team 12s, they knew that the east side was completely free. There was no threat to them from there. It does now leave only 2 members up here on the high ground. So their pressure is suddenly a considerable amount less. Team 12, as you can see, Radish is already taking shots back up that way. And even for the other member of Team 4 who's pushed down here as well in Pesheneg, he's going to have to retreat and double back towards the mountain because that's where his teammates are right now. They're inside the circle. They've got that high ground advantage. Taking this fight anymore just isn't advantageous to them. Let Team 12 be forced out of these buildings and towards you, and then take the fight with the advantage from the high ground.
So I think what Team 4 are doing here is they're keeping Peschenek out to kind of lose time on Team
Right.
12, force them to keep hold, when the rest of Team 4, as you can see, are taking hold of the zone, taking control of the inner circle. And then Peschenek can just slowly take his time, annoying this Team 12 almost. And then as time goes, he can slowly make his way back, return to the rest of his team. And Team 12 are in this position where they're being chased by the blue, and now actually leaves them in a one-on-one because Peschenek did manage to kill one of them.
I guess the nice thing about it as well, again, is it leaves the east side completely free. And Pesha needs to get his gun out here. He's about to run into a firefight off towards his left-hand side. He can hear him. He knows that he's around. Just isn't quite sure where he is. He's heard those shots. Now he's giving his position away. This should be an easy kill from Peshanek. Almost missing there, but can see him to the right. So he knows he's there. He's just got to chase him down and finish him off while his members are shooting away. There he goes. He's sitting him down. He goes. Vieta will take that kill away. And Team 12 are eliminated by Team 4. Oh, Vieta from above there. Yoda on fires up there as well. Now the hunters have become the hunted, it feels like. Yoda on fire with that high ground advantage can just rain down hell, quite literally, in the form of grenades.
It's very, very hard to see on these hills on Miramar which rocks you can actually climb up on. And so I think I'm in a position where if I'm here, I don't really want to be here because it's so hard to say, okay, if zone pops north, I'm then going to move up this way, because you can't really tell in advance which rocks you're going to be able to vault on top of, and which rocks you won't be able to. So now you've got Team 3 just turned this small zone where they were kind of at the back into a huge advantage, as they have the ultimate high point where they can jump out from anywhere onto the rest of the teams.
This is always my worry, though, is that you had, again, it's the constant game of flanks, really, because Team 4 had the mountains. They've been flanked by number 3, or Team 3. Team 3 have now been flanked by Team 14, who have got a pick off there. So suddenly Team 4 are the ones back in the driving seat again. Although they're lower down in terms of the ground, they've got the north and south side of the circle pincered in. They've got these final two remaining members from Team 3 and Team 14 kind of crunched in towards the west side. They could pinch them in here and just watch these kind of high ground areas they're pushing towards the circle. Look at that final circle as well. That's going to be a very interesting run in for teams 14 and team 3. They've got to try and make at least a run in at some point, because right now, well, you're in a horrible pinch. And the problem is team 4 can set up these watch angles here onto this high ground. Just depends who picks who off first.
I would really, really like to see, or I really, really hope rather, that Peshneg and Angelical from Team 4 are able to climb back up to actually give them a fighting chance. Because if this sends in a situation where they are just stuck down there and they just wait and try heal up as much as possible, it doesn't really give them that fighting chance that they've deserved, playing really, really well this whole game. It looks
Cool.
like Angelical kind of has this slopey rock, but Yoda is going to be pushing down. Angelical should hear him there. He's holding the angle
Oh, he's heard the
onto
shots.
Yoda.
If he runs around here, completely blinding itself, picked off. Oh, look down, look down. All you got to do is look down. But Angelica finds Yoda on fire first. It's now 2 versus 1. Keys from, or Crumple 5, sorry, from Team 14 versus 2 members from Team 4. If Team 4 win this, that will be their second win as a team this evening. That will be one hell of a way to end it after getting no kills and finishing 6th in game 1.
And they have the massive zone advantage. Where I was talking just 2 seconds ago about how I wanted them to be able to get back up, and actually with that new zone that came up, it doesn't matter whether they're able to come back up or not, because it's the other player that has to come down, and he's in a position where he has to find a way to come down, where at any point in time, one of these two members from Team 4 could be just holding underneath a rock, underneath a little slope, or just holding that angle, waiting for him to come down. And I think that's what is just about to happen with
Oh,
Angelical.
man. He's got to have seen his head just there. They're going to have seen each other as well. Who gets the spray down as well? Couple fight going very low, not quite low enough. Angelica's also low, down to 23 HP. A couple more shots will be more than enough, but no, he gets killed by the blue. As the blue comes in, it just twigs his back leg. Down he goes. Thanks to all the spray coming out of Angelica Bohr. And Team 4 take their second win of the evening.
In a row, if I might add.
Absolutely. What a straight standout performance from them. And this time round, okay, it was atomical, getting the number of kills that his team needed to be able to pull them through. Running their way out in the end with 12 kills as a team. Always been one of the higher fraggers in the tournament, still showing up with that today. And this time around, you're probably looking and saying, well, where's Kiel Legends? They didn't finish themselves towards the top 3 side of things here as well. Got wiped out quite early on. That's going to be a bit of a dent in their point advantage, but I think it still leaves them in the lead.
I think a lot of players neglect the points that you get from kills, but I believe it's about 16 points for a kill and 400 points for a first place. So I think being able to rake up a win and this many kills 2 games in a row
Mm.
is just puts them astronomically just in the first place much higher than the rest. And
Well, it's
so it just puts them at a
192 points.
position where they can't fight over.
192 points from the kills and 400 for a first. That's almost 600 points from one game. That's almost 50% added on to what you got from the winnings as well. So a really good showing there for those guys. And I look forward to seeing how they do in future weeks. But that is the end of tonight's broadcast. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. My name's been Desertu, joined by Crumsy and the wonderful production team in Moirai and Sunken. We'll catch you guys next week.